Hi, and welcome to another edition of Right on Rangers Live. Coming at you after a 22-19 Texas loss in the SEC championship game. Do we have to? Oh my goodness. Heartbreaking loss, a game that Texas, I think, should have won. A game where they shot themselves in the foot many a time. And to boot, a backup quarterback comes into the ball game for Georgia, and you're still not able to get it done. Very, very disappointing loss. We're going to talk everything SEC championship today. We're going to go through the key moments of the game, the highlights, go through some box score review with you, talk about some areas that Texas has got to get right going into the college football playoff. But first, here at Right on Rangers, we cover everything sports, but we put a big emphasis on all the teams we love from the great state of Texas, including the Longhorns and especially the Longhorns during the college football season. Thank you for choosing Right on Rangers for all of your Texas Longhorns post-game content. Let's get into it, and I'll be taking all of your comments and questions along the way as well. Tough day to be a Horns fan, but we're here, rain or shine. No fair weather. Right on Rangers here. We're going to get into it, as depressing as it may be. We're going to try and spin some positives, talk some definite negatives that need to get cleaned up. And of course, we'll take all of your comments as we go. Welcome to the show. Let's get into it. First of all, let's start with this. Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers has been the subject of a lot of scrutiny over the past couple of weeks. Quinn has been a winner at his time in Texas. He's won, I think, 20 games, lost 4. He knows how to win ball games. Maybe you would say that he benefits from a really good team and coaching staff around him. But I thought Quinn Ewers had some very decisive moments in this game, opportunities to really try and put this game away, opportunities to win this game. And you just saw in the fourth quarter, fairly consistently, Quinn not getting it done, and in fact, soiling the bed in some spots, throwing the interception. Texas was lucky to get the ball back on an interception from the Georgia backup quarterback. I mean, there were multiple moments for Quinn to take over, prove his elite level of play, and win this game for Texas, and it just didn't happen. It just did not happen for him tonight, and you keep waiting for the Quinn Ewers game. You keep waiting for the coming out party in a big spot. I mean, look, even the A&M game, can we be honest? The A&M game, he had a great first half. The second half, there was nothing special. There was no knockout punch. There was no moment where Quinn Ewers put the game out of reach for Texas. I think Quinn Ewers has got to be the topic of conversation more than anything else as you walk away from this game heading into the college football playoff. The Horns are in the college football playoff. No doubt about that. Obviously, maybe now you don't get to host that home game, and perhaps your road is a little bit tougher, although the seeding is quite interesting in the CFP. We're going to get into that in a little bit. But this is a Quinn Ewers ball game. You have got to get an elite performance from Quinn in moments like the fourth quarter presented. You didn't get it. I don't think that the calls for Arch Manning are going to get any quieter among Longhorns Nation. Quinn Ewers, looking at his last 2 drives, the last drive that ended up tying the game 16-all, had some moments, had some big throws. The fourth down throw was huge. I think we have to accentuate the positive as much as we can. But you needed Quinn to be big down in that red zone, and that has been such a struggle for this Texas offense. I don't think you can blame Quinn completely, but I think you have to put some of the red zone struggles on Quinn Ewers' shoulders. You have to. Have to. They've had a problem with it now in multiple games. It was a problem in the A&M game. It was a problem tonight against Georgia. The red zone problems have to get fixed. I think Sark has to take some ownership in that too. I thought the play calling was incredibly bad in the Longhorns' overtime possession after they got the first down. You got to the 14-yard line, and then you started bombing it into the end zone. Didn't get that at all. Understand you're trying to take advantage of the cornerback matchups, the one-on-one matchups. No idea why, when you're a master play caller like Sark, back-to-back downs, you're throwing the ball up in the end zone. For how good Sark is at scheming up wide receivers to be wide open, it was absolutely incredulous to me that back-to-back on second, or was it on first and second down, whatever the combination was, you're lobbing balls into the end zone. Contested. It's not like somebody's wide open. That was definitely suspect, but back to Quinn Ewers, got to have better play in the red zone. And Quinn has got to step up and lead this team to a victory at some point. It's going to be needed in the playoff. The Horns have been able to rely on their defense, to rely on their talent as a whole, and you haven't necessarily needed that coming out game from Quinn Ewers yet. You're going to need it in the playoff. I don't think, once again, that the calls for Arch are going to get quieter. Quinn has a lot to prove, and we'll see what he gets, what the Horns get in their first-round matchup. I personally don't know if you can turn it over to Arch yet at this point. That might be a lot to ask. I'm not saying Arch can't do it. I'm saying a change right now would be a lot to ask. I don't know if it's wise. I think Arch could perform adequately, but you haven't really seen Arch tested either. You saw him come in against Georgia earlier in the season, had a couple of flashes. He had one nice run against Georgia in the October game, but you don't know what Arch is going to do when you face the adversity of the high-stakes college football playoff. You just don't know. I think that it's more of a question than what you're getting from Quinn Ewers right now. I feel better about the consistency and what I'm going to get from Quinn than I do throwing Arch into the fire. If Sark decided to make that move, I would go with it. I would cheer for it. I would support it. But I think that the move is going to continue to be to go with Quinn and mix in Arch Manning in the package plays that they've been showing over the last couple of games. So we'll see what they do moving forward, what they fix, what they try and draw up differently in the playoff. But I think Quinn Ewers' number one concern coming out of this one, defense played great. I don't think you can fault the defense at all. Whether or not Georgia had Carson Beck or not, whether Georgia had Carson Beck or not wouldn't have mattered. I was hopeful that I could get on tonight after a win and deal with everybody hating on the Longhorns' victory because they did it against a backup quarterback. Let's not act like Carson Beck was doing anything special before he came out with an injury. Carson Beck was a big nothing burger in this game. Totally irrelevant. Had a couple of nice throws to wide open receivers. Carson Beck was irrelevant before he came out of this game. So the defense, yeah, you can knock them down a couple notches because they did it against a backup. But this defense is for real, legit. I really don't know if you can question how good this Texas defensive unit is at this point. I still think they're among the best in the country, top 5, easily top 3. I would even make an argument that they're the best in the nation. Overtime is tough, but you hold Georgia to 16 points, and really you controlled most of the game, both on offense and defense. Penalties, turnovers, Quinn Ewers with 2 interceptions, the story in this one. That's my big lead. Let me get to the comments. I know some of y'all have been lighting it up. Appreciate the patience. Had to get that one off my chest. Want to say what's up, Aaron, if you're still hanging out. Appreciate you tuning in. Let me keep going here. All I know is UT proved they aren't meant to be in the SEC as much as Georgia said they wouldn't be. UT had them scared. Jordan, appreciate the comment. Look, I don't think anybody should be questioning that Texas can hang. Texas easily could have won this game. There's going to be a lot of trash talk and a lot of trolls that we're going to have to deal with over the next couple of weeks. But Texas easily could have won this game. I think you make an argument that for a majority of the game, they looked like the better team. I know that that doesn't mean anything. It's all about the scoreboard. It's all about wins and losses. But I think if you just took the score out of it and you watch these two teams play at different moments in this one, I think you walk away thinking Texas controlled most of the game, were the better team, shot themselves in the foot with penalties incessantly throughout this one. We're going to get into the officiating. I hate to get on right after a loss and launch in with officiating. I just don't think that it's the right thing to do. You can't leave it up to the refs. This game was closer than bad calls. There were some bad calls in this one. The turnovers, though, make a big difference. Quinn Ewers' performance to me sticks out. Yeah, the penalty discrepancy, the difference in the penalties called between Texas and Georgia, it's not ideal. Georgia doesn't get called for a hold until 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game. You got to be kidding me. Even if you're the biggest Georgia homer, I think we can all agree there's no way that Georgia didn't hold for the first 58 minutes of that ball game. I mean, I know they didn't. You're watching replays of them holding, not time after time, but definitely throughout the ball game. Yeah, there's no way Georgia doesn't commit a holding penalty until 2:40 left in the ball game. Freaking ridiculous. But it wasn't the refs that lost Texas this game. It was poor play from the offense down the stretch. Quinn Ewers got to be better. Got to be better. Let me keep going here. Maurice, I haven't cursed this much since Danny White threw that, made Tom Landry curse. Look, frustrating game. I mean, can we just say it? It's a frustrating game. Horns commit so many penalties in this one. It was ugly. The penalties were freaking ridiculous. The false starts, I get it. It's loud. It's kind of an away game. The offensive line. Can we go in hard on the wide receivers? The wide receivers today for Texas, some good catches here and there, but you had drops. You had Isaiah Bond. I mean, Isaiah Bond gave you nothing today. I mean, I know he's hurt, but Isaiah Bond gave you penalties, drops, the interception that Quinn Ewers threw. Just kind of an ugly, half-hearted route I felt from Isaiah Bond. So I don't even know if I put that first interception on Quinn Ewers. The second interception Quinn threw was ridiculously terrible, but I was not pleased with the wide receiver play. You had holding calls for the wide receivers, multiple of those. You had an offensive PI on Bond. Ridiculous. One holding call, though, on Georgia. Look, even like I said, if you are the biggest freaking Georgia homer out there, there is no way you only commit one holding penalty all game and it doesn't happen until 2.5 minutes left in the ball game. Again, you got to be kidding me on that. But the Texas offense did not play well enough to win this game. They didn't play well enough to win. Quinn Ewers could not step up and make the big plays when he needed to. Wisner was bottled up. I felt like the offensive line did not do enough. Once again, Georgia wins the line of scrimmage. You got to look at those things before the penalties. Have to. Let me keep going. I know I got a lot to catch up with on TikTok, but I'm going to try, y'all. I am really going to try. Let me see here what we got. Oof. A lot of stuff. Appreciate all y'all, by the way. Thanks for everybody that's followed. I see a number of people have followed since I started. Thank you so much. We're here after every Horns game, man. Every Horns game, rain or shine, we're here. Every red zone, somebody says, every red zone play put Manning in. Not a bad idea. That Quinn Ewers was terrible in the red zone again today. It's just ugly. Even the touchdown that we did score comes off a long play right at the very end. Not good in the red zone. Can we talk about Bert Auburn too? I mean, Bert Auburn misses 2 field goals today. I've told y'all, look, I know it's a small sample size with Bert. Like, it's not like the Horns have had to kick a ton of field goals, but anything over 40 yards, I do not feel good about Bert Auburn. I complained about Bert a couple games back. Anything over 40, it's close. You just don't see Bert putting it right down central if it's over 40. It's getting hooked in, just barely making it, or he's just straight up missing it. So I do think you got to put a little bit of today on Bert Auburn. You make some of those field goals, it's a different ballgame. It just is. Bert Auburn missing a couple of field goals today, just not good. 4 for 6 on the day. Thankful he made what he did. Those 2 missed field goals are huge. It's the difference in the ballgame. So for me, I think that's a problem. You're going to get into some tough playoff games coming up here, hopefully more than one, and you need a kicker that's reliable from 40 out. So for me, another thing that you got to look at before you blame refs or anything else, Bert Auburn missing 2 very makeable field goals today. Very makeable, and probably would have won the Horns the game. So you know he's feeling it today 100%. Another thing we have to point to, Jahdae Barron makes a great interception at the very end of the game in the fourth quarter. Man, if the one guy, I forget who it was, in front of Jahdae Barron would have just blocked instead of celebrate, that would have been a pick six. In that fourth quarter, when the Horns get that interception, that was pick six written all over it. If the guy in front of the interception returner, Barron, doesn't completely forget, dude, you got to block. You have to turn your head around and block downfield. Stop looking at the interception. Block. There was one guy that you needed to block for that to be a pick six and for the Horns to win the football game. And the one guy goes unblocked. That was a huge moment too. Horns easily could have won the game on that interception return. There was one guy that could have stopped that from being a pick six, and it was the one guy that didn't get picked up because the defender in front of the interceptor, too busy watching, too busy celebrating. I know it's tough. It's a bang-bang play, but that had pick six written all over it. Too many drops and penalties in the first half, agreed. At this point, we ride with Quinn. I agree with that. I don't think you can go to Arch. Maybe you design some more package plays for him, but no, I don't think you can turn it over to Arch Manning at this point. It was a choke job. Horns should have won this game. You had way too many penalties. You had 2 interceptions. Ewers throwing that interception, the second to last drive in regulation. Ewers throwing that interception. It's just painful. I mean, that was very extremely painful. That was the moment you were hoping Quinn was going to rise above, make a big throw. It actually looked like even in overtime, I'm thinking about this right now. I know it's hard on one of the sacks that was taken. I think this was actually in regulation. This is in regulation. They kind of had the misdirection play where you fake the screen off to the left, fake the screen off to the right. He actually had a wide open receiver down the sideline. I don't know if y'all saw that. We're talking regulation right now, right before the Horns had to kick the game time field goal. Again, kind of some misdirection. Tried to fake the screen left, fake the screen right, and then Quinn steps up, had a guy wide open down the right side of the field. But you got the pressure crashing in on you. It's hard. But the Horns had some opportunities in this one. They really did. Easily could have won this game. Wasn't meant to be. Georgia, look, I don't think anybody should be scared of Georgia. I got to say this. I'm not scared of Georgia regardless of the result today. If we had to play Georgia again, I would feel good about a victory. I'm not going to sit here and crown Georgia like they're unbeatable. They're very beatable. Georgia Tech almost beat Georgia. Georgia is not a juggernaut like they were in the past. They're a beatable team. They might get beat before they even have to face Texas again. We might not get the three-peat. We might not get the trilogy, right? We will probably, in all likelihood, not get back there again, but who knows? Maybe they will get matched up again in the college football playoff. If we did, I don't think any Horns fan should feel scared at all of facing Georgia again. It's just not that far apart. This game could have gone either way. So anybody trying to tell you Georgia dominated, Georgia's way better, they're not. This game easily could have been Texas by double digits. Texas shot themselves in the foot all night long. 2 turnovers, terrible amount of penalties. And some of that is undisciplined. It's on the players. I think you can put it on the coaches a little bit when a team comes out undisciplined. I know that the next couple of weeks of practice, I'm sure they'll rest up, heal up from this one, but they got to get that right. You cannot have double-digit penalties in these huge games. It makes all the difference. Horns, 11 penalties for 94 yards, 3 total turnovers. You had a fumble lost. You had 2 interceptions. It was ugly. Let me keep going. Only every 12 years, Texas can win a championship. Is that the rule? Arch would have won by 20. Nah, doubt it. They barely won. Yeah, Georgia's not that much better. I don't know how you could really deny that at this point. This game easily could have been Texas by a touchdown, Texas by 10, maybe 14. Quinn was dropping dots. Bert Auburn's done. O-line garbage. Should have had a pick 6. Look, Quinn, I wouldn't say was terrible, but look, Quinn easily could have had 3 interceptions tonight. To be fair, Georgia dropped probably a pick 6 ball down around the goal line. Quinn easily could have had 3 picks. I don't know if I would say Quinn was dotting it up all night long. He had some nice throws. Again, the big 4th down in regulation comes to mind that ultimately allowed the Horns to force OT. Bert Auburn, I don't know what they're going to do with Bert Auburn. I don't know if you can go to anybody else at this point, but anything over 40 yards is a 50-50 with Bert Auburn right now. Like, you feel pretty good inside 40. Anything over 40, I am extremely nervous when he's lining up to kick a field goal. Has just not been consistent this year. Hasn't had to make a lot of big kicks late. Just the nature of the Longhorn season. He hasn't been in a lot of pressureful moments. He hit the big field goals that he needed to, but if he hits the 2 that he missed, Texas wins this game. Quinn was relevant. Yeah, I mean, at times. But then when you needed him to win the game, he didn't. He put them in a position to win and at least tie the game in regulation. You could have won that football game in the 4th quarter with some better play from Quinn Ewers, some better throws, maybe some better play calling. What's crazy is they say a backup, but talk mess on Carson. The backup is a 5-star. Yeah, I mean, look, backup obviously is not going to have the reps, is not going to have the experience. Texas had been planning for Carson Beck. I mean, clearly Texas was planning for Carson Beck. You bring in a backup, you introduce more of the quarterback runs. It's going to throw any defense off for a second. The backup was not effective down the stretch. Look, it was not a factor at all. Whether Carson Beck or Stockton, I don't feel like it made a difference. Neither one of them had that great of a game. Stockton was dinking and dunking all night long, had an interception that could have cost Georgia the game. Whether it was Carson Beck or Stockton, it really doesn't matter. I thought that the fake punt, though, was huge. I will give Kirby Smart a lot of credit. Very ballsy call. That fake punt was everything. That set up the final score that Georgia had in regulation to put them ahead. And I think you got to give him and the special teams coordinator for Georgia a lot of credit. Don't know how the Horns aren't ready for that. It's a tie game. You should be expecting a little bit of trickery on a short yardage 4th down. I don't know why they weren't playing that one more safe. I think, again, that is a mental mistake from the coaching staff. You have 4th and 4, was it? 4th and 5, and you have Kirby Smart dialing up a beautiful fake punt that ends up being really the difference in the ball game. I think you punt the ball away there. I don't know if Georgia wins the game in regulation. Instead, you convert the 4th down fake punt. Texas not ready for it. That is a huge mental error on the coaching staff. I don't know why you're not playing safe there. You don't really need a huge return. I think that you could have done fair catch wherever the ball lands and called it a day. I don't think that you needed to send everybody there. I think you easily could have played for the fake, played it safe, left the defense out there to an extent, and you could have just rolled with wherever the ball lies with the punt or had a fair catch. But not being ready for that fake punt potentially costed Texas the game. I think there's a couple of other things in there that you can throw in there too, but one of the reasons why Texas lost, no doubt. Let me keep going here. How does Texas come out of a timeout, no T, just to throw it to the running back for a loss? That's actually something that I was going to talk about as we break down overtime. We already kind of talked about why are you throwing it up in the end zone, back-to-back plays in overtime. You're Steve Sarkisian. You're known for being able to draw players up wide open. I have no idea why we're throwing the ball up into the end zone, back-to-back plays in overtime. I did not get the running back screen. Maybe you're trying to come out of overtime and you don't want to get into a spot where Quinn takes a sack or where Quinn throws it up and you have a turnover. I think that's probably the mentality. For me, I would have probably tried to have something a little bit more competitive towards the sticks coming out of that timeout in overtime for Texas while they had the ball. But I think the mentality there, you're just showing all the cards. They didn't want Quinn to take a sack on that 3rd down and make it a tougher field goal for Bert Auburn. And you also don't want Quinn turning the ball over. I think that was a totally safe call, wanting to avoid complete disaster there in overtime and not get any points. Let me keep going here. Texas way overrated. All right. Yeah, I mean, look, say the same thing about Georgia, I guess, then. I mean, Georgia, if you're saying Texas is way overrated because of the loss today, what are you saying about Georgia? Like, Georgia barely won this game. They've lost multiple games to inferior opponents. I don't know what you're saying about Georgia if you walk away from this game saying Texas overrated. I mean, look, credit to Georgia. Great game to Georgia. I have already given some love to Georgia for some of the big time plays and calls that they made in this one. Kirby Smart, the fake punt, brilliant call. A lot of respect there. I don't know how you walk away saying Georgia is way better than Texas or Texas is overrated. This game easily could have been won by Texas. Let me keep going here. Sift through here. What's up, everybody? Thanks for the follows, by the way. Seeing a bunch of people have followed. Appreciate that a lot. As a Horns fan, do we think we even have a chance to win a championship this year? Of course. Of course. I don't know how you walk away from this game like we can't win a championship. I don't know how that would be any Horns fan mentality. This game could have gone either way. And I think what you say is, okay, who do people think the best team in the country is at this point? Oregon? I mean, I know that game's going on right now. Oregon, maybe some people would say best in the country just because they haven't lost. I mean, which teams do you really think are that much better than Texas at this point, if anybody? I don't think Penn State is better than Texas. I don't personally think Oregon is better than Texas or Georgia. I think that Oregon's a great football team. I think Georgia and Texas are better than Oregon. I don't think there's a lot of teams better than Texas or Georgia right now. I think it's Texas and Georgia pretty much neck and neck. If these two teams played each other 100 times, it wouldn't be Georgia 75-25. It would be 50-50. This team very easily could win against Georgia in the third time around if they get it. I could see it going either way if they were to meet up in the college football playoff. But I don't know how you walk away from this game saying Texas is washed, overrated, much inferior to Georgia. Texas could have won this game about 5 different times. Let me keep going here. lot of trolls to sift through. That's all right. Ewers is holding us back. Yeah, I'm a little bit. I think Quinn easily could have won this game in the fourth quarter for us, had back-to-back, I would say, possessions to do it. And in the fourth quarter, you really want to see your quarterback, potential first-round pick, step up and win the game for you. And look, he put them in a position to tie it. And that last drive, I would have liked to have seen him win it. I know that that's a lot to ask. I don't want to make it sound easy, leading a touchdown drive against a really good Georgia team, but Quinn had a shot to win a ball game there 2 times, right? You threw a pick on your first try, and on the second try, you got the team down to score a field goal. And then in overtime as well, you throw back-to-back incompletions, and then you throw a little dink and dunk screen and kick a field goal. I mean, there are 3 possessions in a row Quinn has to win this game and really have that coming out moment where, hey, he's arrived, he's an elite quarterback, proven the haters wrong, and he just refuses to do it. That does worry me. Kicker lost it for the Longhorns. Got to say, he's a part of the reason why we lost 100%. Burt Auburn missing 2 field goals was a big difference in this ball game. Yeah, fumbles. I'm seeing somebody bringing up 2 times we couldn't recover fumbles in the fourth. That's what I mean. Like, Georgia got very fortunate. Georgia had 4 fumbles. 4 fumbles for Georgia. They only lost 1 of them. That is extremely fortunate. Extremely fortunate. So that, I think, is a big reason I walk away saying this was anybody's game, and Texas could have won this game very easily. 4 fumbles and you only lose 1. There's some luck involved there, 100%. Let's see. Quarterback was crying. I didn't see that at all. Quinn Ewers, I will give him credit. Pretty even keel. Pretty nonchalant out there at times, even in the big moments. Maybe you're saying you don't like that. Maybe you like the fieriness that some quarterbacks give you. Quinn Ewers, to me, is pretty much the same the entire game. I think that that's a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. Keep going. Manning for the tournament. I don't think you're going to see it. Don't think you're going to see it. We led the entire game. No, y'all didn't. No, y'all didn't. It was 6-3 at halftime. You went up in the third quarter, and most of the second half obviously led, but the game was embarrassing for Georgia in the first quarter. It was a very much embarrassing game for Georgia starting out. They turned it on late, credit to them, but let's not pretend like this was a domination from beginning to end. I don't even know how you walk away with that. Let's see here. Ewers doesn't know how to get rid of the ball. I will say he does hold the ball way too much for my liking. Quinn Ewers holds the ball way too much. Way too much. It's ridiculous at times for me, and I don't know. You can't see the entire field. You can't see everybody in what the receivers are doing, but it does feel like to me, having watched Quinn every game this season, there are times where he can't get rid of the ball. You got to give your receivers a chance. If you got one-on-one matchups sometimes, you're not always going to have somebody wide open. I do 100% feel like he holds the ball way too long. Let me see here. JR, what's up? Or Junior. Yeah, from quarterback to missed field goals, we outplayed them. Doesn't matter. Let down. If we can't get past UGA, we won't win the big one. If we played UGA again, like I said, I would not have any fear. I wouldn't even be like, man, they just got our number. I don't feel that way at all. I feel like Texas can compete with Georgia quite easily. Yeah, Georgia's gotten the better of them past two games, taking into account a few different things, but the end of the day, the offense has to play better. Offense has to play better. It cannot continue to only put up, 17, 19. Like, you got to get this offense scoring in the high 20s and 30s. I know that they've got a game plan, great defense, control the clock. I know that that's their MO this season. The offense has got to find a way to start putting up high 20s, scoring over 30, and they're just not doing it. And they've got all the talent in the world to do it. It's concerning. It's concerning. And I don't know if there's an easy fix. They've got time to get it done. Fortunately, you've got some time here to prepare for the playoff, but it's concerning. You're only putting up 17 against A&M. You're only putting up 19, 16 in regulation against Georgia. Not great. The offense has got to be better. I do totally agree there. Let me keep going. Full of excuses, but don't know how to win. Whatever. That's why we won 11 games, right? Come on now. I mean, look, that's why we won the same amount of games as y'all, 11-2, each 11-2. I don't even know how you could sit around and say Texas don't know how to win any games. I gotta sift past the nonsense, y'all. I really do. Let me keep on going here. Appreciate all the messages. Let's see here. What else we got? Texas out of the CFP. You wish. Texas just fine, man. They're not getting bounced out of the CFP. Lower seed for sure, but they're not getting bounced. Let me keep going. Refs were the MVP. Look, the penalty difference is alarming to me. It is. You've got 5 penalties to 11. They got a couple late. I still say there's no way Georgia doesn't commit a holding penalty for the first 57 minutes and 30 seconds of the game. There's no way. Refs were not the reason why Texas lost this game. We've already talked about Bert Auburn's missed field goals, Quinn Ewers not coming up clutch when he needed to. We've talked about some of the missed opportunities with the fumbles. We've talked about the interception, which could have been a pick six late. You just had different things just not go Texas way. Yes, the officiating wasn't great, but I'm not going to blame the refs. Let me keep going. Texas has lost twice to UGA. UGA is the better team, and I'm a Tennessee fan. Okay, yeah, I guess. I don't think that if these teams played each other 100 times, Georgia would be winning 75 of them. This would be back and forth. I mean, these games to me, this game especially, could have gone either way. I don't think Georgia looked that great coming out of this game. I don't fear Georgia at all. I don't think Texas should either. Texas walks away from this game thinking we're the reason we lost. I don't think any Longhorns coach or player or fan, for that matter, should walk away thinking, man, there's just no way to beat the Georgia Bulldogs. You had 11 penalties for 94 yards, stupid mistakes, wide receiver PI and holding. You had like 3 different penalties on wide receivers. That's ridiculous. 3 different penalties on offensive players that aren't linemen. Totally ridiculous. You had 3 turnovers. I don't know how you walk away from this game if you're not Texas coach, player, fan, saying to yourself, we shot ourselves in the foot. We can't get out of our own way. I don't think anybody looks at this game. Georgia just dominated. There's just no way Texas could ever beat them. I mean, I guess if you just want to hear yourself make noise, say that out loud, but I don't think anybody with a football brain looks at this game and says, there's no way Texas could ever beat Georgia. Let me keep going. That was targeting. That was not targeting at all. But y'all know, who have been with me, I hate the targeting rule in college football. Hate it. And in that moment, Stockton lowers his head. Like, by the way, that was the hit of the college football season. I mean, there might be a couple others that are up there too. That was a freaking annihilation, right? And Stockton puts his head down to receive it. That's, for me, the most ridiculous thing about the targeting rule is you've got runners with the football putting their head down, initiating helmet contact, and getting flagged for targeting. I was so glad that they waved it off. There's not a whole lot you can do as a defender coming down full speed to save the game. Because you watch that play, Stockton literally had green grass right up the middle, right? If Makuba doesn't come up and lay that hit, it's a touchdown and the game's over right then and there. But Stockton lowers the helmet. He lowers the helmet. How on earth are you going to whine about targeting when the runner of the football lowers the helmet to initiate contact? I just don't think that the targeting rule is a good one. I don't think that a lot of the hits that I see are justified for ejection. Ejection should be reserved for dirty plays. That's not a dirty football play. That is a defensive back coming up and saving the game, going low with the shoulder. His helmet is up. Like, he's not leading with the crown. His helmet is up. And Stockton just lowers the crown of his helmet to initiate the contact. So glad that they did not eject him and call targeting on that play. Hate the targeting rule in general. You have got to reserve targeting for just straight up dirty plays, not, oops, we just happen to initiate contact with the helmet. You have got to save targeting for the truly dirty football plays. I don't think anybody watches that play from Makuba coming up, trying to save the game, when Stockton is rushing up the middle and says, what a dirty hit. It's just ridiculous to me, the people whining about targeting for that. And I don't like the targeting rule in general. It's football. It's a violent game. You cannot keep giving advantages to the offense. It's already hard enough as a defender to deal with some of the different rules that they're coming up to protect quarterbacks. The targeting rule in college football, it's gross to me. I wish that they'd get rid of it. Keep going. Let's see what we got here. Anything else? Maybe y'all should have thrown trash on the field. Appreciate that. You know what? We might have been able to throw trash on the field if this wasn't a freaking Georgia home game. Am I right? I mean, I know that they've got to deal with Atlanta. We might have been able to do the trash on the field tactic if this wasn't a Georgia home game. So I would personally love to see them rotate around. I don't think that it's fair that every SEC championship that Georgia makes, they basically get to play at home. Again, not the reason that Texas loses. Definitely, though, something I'd like to see changed. You cannot keep having Georgia home games for the SEC championship. Credit to Georgia for getting there. And I know that you can't plan that out, but I would love to see them rotate where the game takes place. I'd like to see them do that for all the conference games. Like, honestly, there's no reason why they need to keep playing the Big 12 championship at Cowboy Stadium. What an embarrassing showing for the Big 12 championship. I was texting some buddies. I'd much rather them allow the teams to play a home game for that. You know, whoever was the higher seed for that Big 12 championship, I'd rather it be a straight up home game. It would be more fun to watch. The empty stadium, though, for the Big 12 championship, embarrassing. At least rotate it around a little bit, or rotate it to make it a location where both teams' fans, it's equidistant. It's not just going to be a straight up home game for one or another, or you just go straight up like the Mountain West does it. Higher seed gets the home game. Then you're not pretending. Let me keep going. Texas could have been called for many more. Same with the Dogs. I don't even know why you'd throw that out there. Appreciate the follows, by the way. Let me keep going here. I think we dropped to 5. I don't know. Could it be just a simple flip-flop? I don't think Texas is going to drop lower than 7. 8 would be, I think, the lowest you drop Texas to. So I think that they're still going to get a pretty good seeding. Maybe it's just what the doctor ordered. I don't know how the matchup is going to work out. I know that there's some controversy with the seeding, like Boise State getting like the 4 seed or something because they're the conference championship. I think they're going to have to play around with that seeding concept when it comes to the college football playoff, not necessarily give out higher seeds just because you won your conference. I think you got to give the higher seeds to the best teams. If you want to go automatic bid, that's great. But for me, I don't think that it's really fair that Boise State gets a bye for playing in the Mountain West. I think you got to fix that. So, look, we'll see how it affects the Horns and the seeding, but I don't think you're going to see them drop below 7. They'll meet again for the 3rd time. Wouldn't that be crazy? They meet 3 times in a row. It'd be fun. That would be fun. No doubt. Keep on going here. We just got a better defense than y'all offensive line. Look, the offensive line for Texas continues to get beat by Georgia. That is, I think, the entire game for me in a nutshell. If you just want to simplify it, Texas keeps getting beat up front. Texas did not have a great running game today. Wisner, I thought, was a little bit more effective than he was back in October. But the O-line, I know you're missing Banks, missing the left tackle today, but you have got to find a way to beat Georgia in the trenches. And again, you kind of got punked by Georgia's defensive line. They were getting pressure on Quinn Ewers. They were stopping the run. It's definitely something they've got to fix if they do face Georgia again. Keep going. See what we got here. What was going on with Quinn today? Just not coming up clutch when they needed him to. They got to figure it out. I mean, Quinn could have won this game. The last 3 possessions, Quinn could have led a drive to win this game for Texas, just couldn't come up with it. Like, Quinn has got to step up and be clutch. He has got to find a way to rise above and lead the team, take over a football game. You're just not seeing that from him. The holding by the wide receivers was terrible. That is definitely a place I would blame the loss today. You have Burt Auburn. You have Quinn Ewers being uneven in the clutch moments. And then you've got the wide receivers. You had offensive PI on Isaiah Bond. You had a holding on Bond. You had another wide receiver holding. 3 penalties on wide receivers in a game. Like, that's just straight up ugly. You're not going to win a lot of football games when your wide receivers have 3 different penalties. Not good. And then Bond on the play where the interception, Quinn's first interception, just thought the effort's not there. Maybe he's still nursing the injury. I don't know, but the route was half-hearted to me, not coming back to the football hard. It was a rough day at times for the Texas wide receivers. Yeah, you had a few standout performances, no doubt. I mean, I don't think we can sit around and just forget about Matthew Golden. I mean, Matthew Golden had an incredible game, 162 yards. You had DeAndre Moore, 9 receptions for 114 with a touchdown. I mean, there were some bright spots. It's not like the entire wide receiving corps was terrible, but the penalties were ridiculous. Gunnar Helm, 1 reception for 11 yards. I'd have to go back and look at the film, but they must have really keyed in on Gunnar Helm. Him only getting 1 reception for 11 yards. That's not a winning combination either. That's a guy that you've got to get touches to. So look, Georgia did some things well on defense today, no doubt. You bottled up the running game. Wisner, 19 carries, 51 yards. Had a nice 15-yard run. That was the long for today, but bottled up the running game again. Not going to win a lot of football games that way. Keep going. See what we got. Appreciate all y'all tuning in. Thanks for all the comments. Appreciate the follows, by the way. A lot of follows. Thank you. Let me see here. Bench Ewers. Don't think it's going to happen. It's okay. It's impossible to lose to a team 3 times, so be happy. I mean, look, in all honesty, the mantra or the talking point, if you will, going into this game from a lot of pundits was hard to beat a team twice. I think you can say the same thing. It's hard to beat a team 3 times. It is. And I think with these two teams, they are pretty evenly matched. Look, Georgia had a great game from Etienne, 16 carries, 94 yards. He had a nice game today. Frazier came in looking super fresh in that fourth quarter. The run game was there for Georgia today. It was. So I think Texas defensively, yeah, overall, you only give up 16 points. Got to find a way to stop the Georgia run. You're going to face some good running teams in the playoff. I think if there's one area the defense has to get better in, it is the run game. They need to be able to stop the run better. Keep going here. Penalties and drops should have put this game out of reach in the first half. Agreed. Texas could have really put the foot on the throat in the first half. They didn't. It just was not meant to be today for them, shooting themselves in the foot too many times, turning the ball over multiple times, missing a couple of field goals. The list goes on. I mean, some people call it excuses. Those are just facts. Burt Auburn makes those 2 field goals. Texas probably wins the game. It's not excuses. It literally is reality. If Burt Auburn connects on all of his field goals today, which were all makeable, Texas probably wins the game. Keep going. Will Texas be a 5 seed? Probably like 5 or 6 if I had to guess. Yep. King Cheese, what's good? We beat ourselves tonight. Totally agree. Look, if you're a Horns fan, take solace in the fact that this was a game that the Horns made way too many mistakes in. They could have beat Georgia. You got to be near perfect to beat elite teams like the Georgia Bulldogs. Texas wasn't tonight, but the potential's there. Nobody should be feeling like this team can't win a championship. The talent is there. The execution has got to be better. Keep going. Yeah, Helm disappeared. I think that they were keying in on him a little bit. I'd have to go back and look over the film, but Helm only having 1 reception. He whiffed on, I think, a couple of blocks today. Wasn't the best game for Gunnar Helm. Just wasn't. Bad game by Bond. I totally agree with that, Bruce. Appreciate the comment. Let's be honest, Georgia's better than Texas. By how much? Like, if Georgia is a 10, Texas is like no lower than a 9.5. Like, come on now. Again, if you're walking away saying Texas is overrated after this loss, what's Georgia then? Like, what's Georgia? If Texas is overrated because they lost in overtime by 3 to Georgia, like, what is Georgia? Clearly not that good either, if you're going to try and make Texas lesser after this game. Keep going. They need to start Manning. I don't think they're going to do that. Quinn looks scared. I don't think he looked scared, but look, I don't love holding the football as long as he does at times and just, look, not executing. You had 3 back-to-back-to-back drives to win this game and rise above everything else. Be that elite quarterback that we all thought Quinn Ewers was going to be coming into this season. 3 years now in the Sark system. This was his year. Potential Heisman candidate. I know he got hurt, but he wasn't even close to Heisman candidacy this year. And that was the hype coming into the season. You've been waiting for a game where he just looks totally dominant against good competition, not cupcakes at the beginning of the season, non-conference. It didn't happen tonight. Didn't happen tonight. Keep going here. Ewers and Burt alone lost the game. Yeah, Burt, definitely. Burt missing the 2 field goals is huge. Quinn not rising above at the end, huge. The penalties on the wide receivers, huge. The penalties on the linemen, big deal as well. Penalties, turnovers, missed field goals. And then at the end, not getting elite play from your quarterback. Keep going here. Sorry if I missed y'all. I know I probably missed a bunch of people's comments. I'm trying to backtrack a little bit, try and stay caught up. Yeah, Texas is probably no lower than a 7 seed. Seeing a lot of people asking about what seed is Texas going to be. Can't see them dropping below 7, probably exactly between 5 and 7. I think Arch could have maybe been a little bit more active in this game. So you had Arch with 1 carry for 5 yards. I do think they could have done a better job getting him into some different package situations in this one. I think that they were kind of heading that direction with the A&M game. Don't know why we didn't see Arch a little bit more, but it is what it is. I can't blame Sark for not getting Arch in. You don't want Quinn to get more off his game than he was looking already at the end. I don't think when you're putting in Arch constantly that's the best. I was a little surprised that he wasn't a little bit more involved, though, today. Keep going. Texas goes to 6. We'll see. I think no lower than 7. I really think no lower than 7. Keep going here. Let me see what we got. Dude, filibustering again. Nah, just spitting facts. No filibustering here. Look, I don't know how you feel bad. Like, Texas, like I said, is in the playoff. Like, this game really didn't even need to get played. Like, I mean, SEC championship, I don't know. I know everybody is probably going to just say it's sour grapes from me, but I don't think that like SEC championships, Big 12 championships, I just wonder as the playoff expands, like how much are you really going to need these conference championship games, especially if it's benefiting another team not to play in it. Like that's the thing. You got a lot of teams sitting at home in this conference championship weekend, and it almost seems to like work to their advantage that they didn't have to play today. I don't know if we're going to have conference championship games a whole lot longer as they continue to expand. This game had like zero drama in regards to the playoff, like who's going to make it, who's not. Both these teams were going to get in either way. I think a 3-loss Georgia would have still made it in. Georgia would have had to get waxed today, like blown out of the water to have gotten left out. I think both teams were making it in regardless. So kind of a meaningless game in that regard. Yes, bragging rights are on the line, but kind of a low drama game in terms of who's making the playoff. All right, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down, try and get caught up here. Hook 'em Horns, a lot of y'all Horns fans showing up. Look, rain or shine, we're here. Like, not a great day to be a Horns fan. Still everything in front of us for a natty, though. Like, everything in front of us. I think we have got a really, really good team. We shot ourselves in the foot all night long. I still feel really good about the playoff. Maybe we see Georgia again. This Texas team is really, really talented. They've responded well to adversity. They lost against Georgia. They ran the table the rest of the way. I think you're going to see them get better and learn from this loss. I don't think anybody needs to be glooming and dooming, but hook 'em Horns. Appreciate all my Horns fans tuning in here. There's a lot, I think, to be hopeful for. You got everything in front of you for a natty. You can't commit 11 penalties. You can't turn the ball over 3 times against elite teams. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Let me keep going here. Let me get back and see if I got anything on YouTube. I know I got a lot of people tuning in. Appreciate all of y'all. Thank you. Let's see here. Nothing really of substance, but appreciate all you guys tuning in. Trying to make it through as many comments as I can. As a Texas fan, Ewers is trash. Look, I'm going to lock in on all the comments now here. Yeah, I can't say Ewers is trash, but I think he does feel like holding back the team a little bit. Definitely feels like Quinn is holding things back. Cohen, good game, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for the comment. Learn how to run a football if you want to be elite. There's truth in that. Texas only rushing for 51 yards from their top back. A big reason why they lost the game. You've got to figure out a way if you're Texas. You've got to figure out a way. Let me keep going. Yeah, no Tennessee hat. We did this yesterday, but come on now. Right here. See that flag? There's only one UT. Y'all know that. There's only one UT. Come on now. Texas is not elite. Then what's Georgia? I mean, Georgia barely wins tonight. Are we saying Georgia's not elite either? I mean, you got to. Georgia could have lost this football game. I mean, if we're going to say Texas is an elite, we got to say Georgia isn't either. If we're going to say Texas is overrated, what's Georgia? Barely beating Texas by 3 in overtime. And don't even pretend, oh my goodness, thank you for bringing up the second string quarterback. So we're going to pretend that Carson Beck would have had Georgia winning by 2 touchdowns? Carson Beck looked terrible in the first half. He's actually looked terrible in every single game he's played against Texas this season. It might have actually been better for y'all that the second string quarterback came in. Carson Beck was that bad. Carson Beck, I don't know why you would sit around and pretend like having him in the game would have made that big of a difference. Carson Beck was bad. I mean, it was probably better that he came out of the football game. So I don't even know why we even have to bring the second string quarterback into it. Come on now. Say you're 0-2 against the Dawgs without saying you're 0-2. I mean, whatever. What does it matter? Texas in the playoff. They play each other again. Are we going to sit around and say it's going to be a blowout? Texas is going to lose by so much to Georgia if they play it again. Nobody's going to say that. I mean, we're just at some point not being real, not being genuine. If these two teams played each other again, you know what the spread would be? Probably the exact same thing. Texas would probably be favored by 1 or 2 again, just like they were tonight. So we need to quit pretending. This was Georgia barely beating Texas. Don't even bring up the second string quarterback. Carson Beck looked awful in this game. It was probably better that he came out. Keep going. Beat by the backup. Carson Beck was terrible. The backup probably worked out better for him. Texas, I do think, is a better football team than Georgia. I don't care what the on-the-field results say. Say I'm in denial all you want. Texas was the reason that they lost this game. Georgia was not the reason. Texas turned the ball over 3 times. The turnovers were terrible. Texas had terrible penalties. Those are all self-inflicted. They missed 2 field goals. There's no way you walk away from this game saying Georgia is leaps and bounds better than Texas. Keep going. Ewers is just as bad as Carson. Maybe he is, but don't sit around and say, oh, we beat y'all with the backup. Come on. The backup's probably better than Carson Beck. Georgia fans, I'm actually really interested. Do any of y'all really feel like Carson Beck is that much better than the backup? I know I got some Georgia fans in the chat right now. Y'all really feel like Beck is better than Stockton? I felt like Stockton was better than Beck. I felt like he brought a different dynamic to the game. And maybe if Beck plays the whole game, it's a different outcome. You're out of your mind if you think Texas is better. Why? Texas missed 2 field goals that would have been the difference in the game. You really think Georgia is that much of a better team, if at all? Texas makes 2 field goals that they missed and they win this game. Texas doesn't have 11 penalties, self-inflicted wounds, turning the ball over 3 times. A lot of this is self-inflicted. I'm sorry. We keep going. We don't think he is better, but we understand depth, and you clearly don't. Well, here's my thing. If you're going to try and parade that y'all beat us with a backup, like it's some legitimate thing that makes Texas a lesser team because we got beat with a backup quarterback, let's stop pretending that Carson Beck is great. Carson Beck's terrible. He is a terrible quarterback. I have not been impressed by Carson Beck at all. Carson Beck threw 3 interceptions against Texas the first time, looked awful in the first half. So, again, don't know if we at all need to be sitting around thinking that the backup quarterback excuse is worthy of mentioning. Get real, please. We'll keep going here. See what we got. Talking trash about our quarterback, but y'all lost to him. Y'all beat us with the ground game. Y'all did not beat us with the backup quarterback. Y'all beat us with ETN. And the running combination that y'all got, Frazier, ETN, that's what won y'all the game today. Y'all should have lost on a pick 6 that Gunnar Stockton threw, and the Texas defender was too busy celebrating the block. I mean, come on now. Y'all should have lost this game about 3 or 4 different times. The backup quarterback should have been the reason y'all lost this game. Keep going here. Welcome to the SEC. So they say. The running back duo was too much. That is what won Georgia the game. ETN, Frazier, that's what won the game for Georgia tonight. It wasn't Gunnar Stockton. We beat y'all with the backup quarterback. Yeah, who almost threw the game-losing interception. Come on now. It wasn't the backup quarterback. It was the very, very sound ground game duo of ETN and Frazier. Keep going here. With so many penalties, we still made it a close game. It is kind of scary that Texas was so bad with the penalties and turnovers and almost won this game. Like, have fun if you're a Georgia fan. Texas had 11 penalties. The penalty discrepancy could not have been any further apart. The disparity between the penalties, Georgia not getting called for a hold until 2.5 minutes left in the game. Like, come on now. There's no way Georgia did not commit a holding penalty until 2.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Despite all the penalties, all the turnovers, Texas could have won this game. So if you're a Georgia fan, I think you dodged a bullet. You should have probably lost this game by 10. I think this easily could have been Texas by 10, Texas by double digits. Appreciate the gift, by the way. King Cheese, appreciate you. Thank you. What quarterback was in when Georgia scored their first touchdown? All right, then. What quarterback was in when an interception was thrown that easily could have been a pick six? Y'all do know that should have been a pick six in the fourth quarter, right? Easily should have been a pick six. If our guy just turns his head around and blocks the one Georgia guy that even had a chance at making a tackle, it's game, set, match. There's no way Gunnar Stockton is leading a drive down from his own half on the Texas defense. It's fortunate they got to overtime and they were already at the 25-yard line, so ETN and Frazier could just do work. Gunnar Stockton was not leading a game-winning or game-tying drive if that interception goes for 6. Keep going here. Yeah, Gunnar Stockton, don't know. Anybody, y'all want to give Gunnar Stockton player of the game? Is that what I'm hearing? Gunnar Stockton won y'all this game? I mean, you just don't know ball if you're saying Gunnar Stockton won the game. I mean, it sounds nice. Backup quarterback. Come on now. Gunnar Stockton didn't win this game. Gunnar Stockton, I would say, lost the game. ETN and Frazier saved it for you. Come on now. Ewers is worse than Beck. No way. Didn't he drive down the field on Texas on his first drive? Yeah, he did, but obviously they're running the football. What big throw did he make that was the reason why they scored that touchdown? Like, no, he didn't throw a touchdown, did he? No, he didn't. He handed the ball off a lot. He was really good at that. And Dinkin and Duncan. He averaged 4 yards a pass. Gunnar Stockton knows how to dink and dunk really well. I'll give him that. But can we just be real? Y'all Georgia fans trying to pretend Gunnar Stockton won y'all this game? Please. Y'all won this game because of Kirby Smart calling an incredible 4th down fake. Y'all don't get that 4th down fake. Probably not winning the game. And you have an elite running back in Trevor Etienne and Nate Frazier coming in the fourth quarter as fresh as he was. Outstanding. Etienne was the reason y'all won this game. And the defense. I think the defense stopping the run. Wisner only getting 51 yards, 31 yards total. Quinn Ewers, negative 27 yards rushing. I mean, give this one to Trevor Etienne and the Georgia defense. We don't even need to talk about Gunnar Stockton, please. Let me keep going. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Throw a water bottle or something. We already made that joke. I mean, we would have if this wasn't a Georgia home game. We would have maybe thrown some water bottles. Appreciate all y'all. Yeah, they won because Texas has a seizure in the red zone every time they get there. That's good. They don't know how to efficiently, effectively, consistently score in the red zone. I mean, they just don't. They've got a problem. They've got to figure it out. Sark has got to be better with the play calls. They've got to be better with the execution in the red zone. Who cares about the schedule? Like, I don't know why you want to talk schedule. I know a bunch of y'all want to talk about the schedule. Who cares about the schedule? Georgia won by 3 points in overtime and probably should have lost this game. Why do y'all want to still talk about the schedule? We would be talking about the schedule if this was a Georgia beatdown. It wasn't, and it was never going to be at any point in this game. Y'all want to talk about the schedule? It doesn't matter at this point. Texas lost by 3 points. If they would have gotten the doors beat off them, then I would maybe say we can talk about the schedule. Oh, yeah, they were frauds all along. This game easily could have been won by Texas. I don't know why anybody except haters would want to be talking about the schedule. Any objective party, I don't know why you say, yeah, they always were bad. They always were soft. They always were overrated because they lost in overtime by 3 points. Again, if you're going to knock Texas down that far because they lost to Georgia, what does that say about Georgia? I don't think that you're doing yourself any favors trying to talk about Texas' schedule. They're overrated. Y'all barely beat us. And the only reason that y'all beat us was because we turned the ball over. Terrible turnovers. Like, I would like to say that some of the interceptions from Quinn Ewers, it was like a great play by the defender, the defensive back, so good. Like, what a play. No, it's just Quinn Ewers throwing terrible passes. I mean, there were a couple of balls that he threw tonight, just terrible. And then the fumble. I mean, look, in the penalties, 3 wide receiver penalties tonight for Texas. Like, I don't know. Anybody trying to knock Texas down after tonight, you're just making yourselves look bad. Like, if Texas is so overrated, y'all could barely beat us. What does that say about you? What does that say about you? Come on now. We did have our chances. I will say that. Tristan, appreciate the comment. We did. Texas had a shot at home in October. Didn't get it done. And that game in October, Georgia was just better. Texas turned the ball over in that game too. I think Georgia, definitely you give them 100%. That was by and far a beatdown. Georgia in Austin, 30-15. Quinn Ewers looked terrible. There's definitely things you can point to, but Quinn Ewers, definitely back-to-back games against Georgia, leaving something to be desired. Game 1, absolutely. This game, he had his moments, but you had 3 possessions at the end of the game to rise above, and it just didn't work out. Just didn't work out. Georgia definitely, they had a number of drops today. Georgia had some missed opportunities too. I think that you can definitely go back and forth with that all day long. I'm going to stick with the 2 missed field goals. That's 6 points right there. That's the difference in the game. And then you have the penalties, which, no, I don't think were called super fairly today, both sides, both ways. But don't leave it up to penalties. Don't leave it up. Keep going. Appreciate it. What year did I graduate from Texas? I didn't go to Texas. I love that y'all think that matters. Y'all think it matters that you didn't go to a school so you can't talk about them? Y'all think that's how it works? Okay. I love the people that bring it up. Like, you got nothing better to say. Didn't go to Texas. I never tried to pretend like I did. Grew up a Longhorns fan, lots of family that went to Texas, few different people in my family, big Longhorns fan. Stupidest thing ever to bring up. Well, why? When did you graduate? When did you graduate? Come on now. You got nothing better to say? You got no better point to make? Didn't even try to go to Texas. Don't care, but always going to be a Longhorns fan. Always. I don't know why people think you have to graduate from a school in order to be a fan. You can't be a fan unless you graduated there. Okay. You would literally, there would be no college sports. Like, nobody would care. You wonder how many Texas fans didn't go there? There's probably about the same amount that went there. Come on now. Let me keep going. I love people saying don't belong in the SEC. Clearly they belong in the SEC. Like, clearly they belong. So again, if you're going to sit here, try and knock Texas down a bunch, look, they lost by 3 in overtime. Keep going. Not appreciate that comment. Look, One thing I'll never do, you guys know, I'm here rain or shine. Like, I'm here. I easily could have hid and cowered. We lost. I don't want to get on, and I don't want to do my show today. They lost. There's a lot of soft Longhorns fans and soft fans in general that are hiding right now. Look, I'm here. We're here. It doesn't matter. Texas going to the college football playoff. I'm never going to shy away after Texas gets beat. So I appreciate the respect. I really do. And I think those of y'all that have been watching, that have been with me most of the season, we take it on the chin. Georgia, credit to them. They made more plays. They played a more disciplined game tonight. They didn't make the same amount of mistakes that Texas did. Look, you've got to have luck on your side in close games sometimes. You have to. I would say that if Texas won a close game. Georgia fumbled 4 times tonight and only lost it once. Look, Georgia had a terrible interception in the fourth quarter, easily could have led to a loss. You have to be fortunate in football games at some point. You do. But Georgia made more plays tonight, and they played more disciplined football. Kirby Smart, I mean, look, the fourth down fake punt call, so much respect for that dude. Freaking ballsy call. I love Kirby Smart. I think he's a great coach. That, to me, was the call right there. If Georgia punts that ball back, I don't know if Georgia wins the game. Maybe. I don't know if Georgia punts right there in that moment instead of the fake. I really don't know if they still win this game. Y'all Georgia fans, because I know some of y'all are still around, you tell me if you disagree. Without the fake punt, does Georgia still win this game? I think with that being said, I think no. I think you give all the credit in the world to Kirby Smart and the special teams coordinator. Ballsy call right at the right time. Clearly, they saw something. Texas special teams coordinator, you kind of get caught with your pants down there like, dude, 4th and 4 in a tie game. You're not even considering Georgia might do some trickery. You've absolutely got to give Georgia credit. They outcoached Texas today. I can say that. Georgia outcoached Texas today. More discipline. The 4th down play, fake punt, huge. A lot went their way for sure. Absolutely. You definitely had some moments where could have gone either way. Questionable calls, questionable no calls. But I think overall, outcoached and better discipline. Didn't turn the ball over as much. Didn't commit as many penalties. You got to give them credit. I will say that. 100%. I kind of think Stephen Quinn sold. Should have just switched Quinn with Arch. I don't know if Arch has a better game, y'all. I really don't. I do not know if I can sit around and say Arch would have had a much better game. We would have won this game with Manning in there. I don't feel that way. And Texas fans, do we really feel that way? You really feel like Arch would have given us that much of a better chance? I don't think Arch is battle-tested enough. I think that he would have played valiantly in this game had he started. I don't know if he does a whole lot better. I can't say we definitely would have won this game if Arch was in. Look, I'm going to keep on checking comments. Appreciate all y'all tuning in. Can we talk about some of the guys on defense? Can we talk about Mukuba? First of all, that hit on Stockton was insane. Probably one of the hits of the year. Mukuba had 11 tackles tonight, 2 for a loss and a pass deflection. Dude balled out today. We already talked about Matthew Golden. We talked about DeAndre Moore, both going for over 100. Quinn Ewers looked career high with yards, but the 2 interceptions to me, killers. You turn the ball over 3 times against Georgia and you commit 11 penalties, it's not going to go well. What's with the T? It's because Texas is the only UT. Again, we've talked about this. Texas is the only UT. We don't care about Tennessee. Tennessee, what have they done lately? When's the last championship Tennessee's won? I actually am curious about that. I actually would like to see that because I had some Tennessee fans lighting it up. Tennessee championship football. Let's see what we got. When's the last time they won? When? Let me see. 1998? All right. 1998. I would have thought it would have been a little bit different than that, but I would have thought a little bit further off. 1998. And when else? 1967. Come on now. Texas, only UT. I don't care that Tennessee had the UT first, whatever. Nobody thinks Tennessee when they hear UT, unless you're a Tennessee fan. You're from Tennessee. You're just a huge Tennessee homer. Nobody thinks Tennessee when they hear UT. Come on now. Nobody thinks that. Absolutely zero people outside of the state of Tennessee. Let me keep going. Who do I have, Oregon or Penn? What is that game at right now? Right now it's 28-17 Oregon. I was personally hoping Penn State would win and just cause total chaos, but it looks like Oregon is off to a good start. I'm cheering for Penn State. I hope Penn State figures out a way to win, just so we can have like total chaos. UT is the Vols 100%. Nah. Dang, you got to be like, if you're from, I guess, Tennessee or that general area, deep south, maybe, I don't know. The majority of the country does not think Tennessee when they hear UT. Nope. Nope. Keep going. Everyone in the SEC hates Texas. Everyone put up for Georgia today. Chad, appreciate the comment. It felt like it. Like it felt like everybody was cheering against Texas. I don't know why. Georgia, it's not like they have been the underdog the last 5, 6, 7 years. I don't get it, but whatever. Texas always gets hate. It's nothing new. It really doesn't surprise me. It is kind of funny, and I didn't mention it on the show last week, but it is funny how there are still like quite a number of teams that have never made an SEC championship game. A&M's one of them. It's so hilarious to me that A&M has never made an SEC championship game, and Texas does it in their very first year. Gotta love it. And there's a number of other teams that have never made an SEC championship game either. So let me see here. There's 11 of the 16 that have made it. I think I'm getting that right. 11 of the 16 current SEC members have played in the SEC game. Kentucky, Ole Miss, A&M, Vandy, Oklahoma have never played in the SEC championship game. We'll give Oklahoma a break, but Kentucky, Vandy, Ole Miss never played in an SEC championship game, and Texas does it in the first year. Like, I mean, it's pretty impressive. It's impressive. Nobody wants to give us credit for it, but look, we made the SEC championship the very first year. Didn't win it, but I'd say there's going to be more chances. There's definitely going to be more chances. Texas, #1 recruiting class. I don't know if y'all saw that. #1 2025 recruiting class. Yeah, Texas is going to be good for a long time. Get us right now. Like I'm gonna go full Deion after Deion lost to Oregon. Y'all remember what he said? Get us right now. Like this is about the worst we're gonna be for the foreseeable future, and that's scary. Get us right now. Texas is only good because NIL. Okay. Texas won multiple national championships like before NIL. So I don't even want to hear that excuse. But get us right now. Have fun right now. This is the worst Texas is going to be for the foreseeable future. With the softest schedule. We made the SEC championship with the softest schedule. Got it. That's why Georgia lost twice to bad teams. Okay. So Alabama, not that great. Ole Miss. Georgia lost to Ole Miss. We do remember that, right? Right? Come on now. Georgia's schedule, let's quit pretending like Georgia's schedule was such a gauntlet. Look, it was Georgia and Texas in the SEC this year. I'm sorry. No other team am I really all that worried about. It's Georgia and Texas this year in the SEC. The matchup that we saw today, those are the best two teams in the SEC. Anybody else trying to tell you there's another team that's better than Texas or Georgia in the SEC really don't know what you're watching. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let's look at the SEC. Who do we think's better? We think Tennessee might be better? I don't think that. You think Texas isn't going to beat Tennessee? Not going to beat Bama? South Carolina, I got to be honest. I'm a little worried about South Carolina. I don't know if they're going to make it in. I think they're just going to miss out. South Carolina's a little scary. Like, if they were to make it in the playoff, I would probably be more worried about South Carolina than any other team. Just because they feel like they're on a heater 6 in a row, it feels like they really have caught their stride. I don't know if they're going to be able to make it in the playoff. I'd be more worried about South Carolina than a rematch with Georgia at this point. Keep going. We almost lost to Vandy. So what? I mean, like, Vandy, by the way, if you watch that game, nobody ever thought Vandy was going to win that game. Georgia almost lost to Kentucky. Like, we can go back and forth all day long about Georgia's losses and about Georgia's close calls. Y'all, Georgia almost lost to Georgia Tech. Almost lost to Kentucky. Like, we can do that all day long. I don't know why anybody would even want to bring it up. The people that want to talk about the schedule or the fact that we almost lost to Vandy. Georgia should have lost to Kentucky. Should have lost to Georgia Tech. Come on now. Tech would beat Texas, please. Please. We keep going. Good stuff. We beat Texas twice. Good for y'all. Again, no Georgia fan. Like, I don't get the Georgia fans hating on Texas. These are like y'all saving graces, these wins. Y'all got wins against nobody else but Texas. Come on now. Keep going. Appreciate all y'all, by the way. I'm going to have to wrap it up here pretty quick here. Trying to watch the rest of this Penn State, Oregon game. Go get a bite to eat. Anthony, appreciate you tuning in. 2005, when else? 70s, multiple times. Look, no shame. It's tough to win championships in college football. It is. It is tough. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me keep going. Appreciate all you guys tuning in. Thank you for the follows, by the way, too. I see a number of different people have followed. Thank you so much. Your money will not ever buy you a natty. Look, Texas #1 recruiting class. This year, #1 recruiting class. What's scary? This is about the worst they're going to be for the foreseeable future. Pretty good team right now. We keep going. Another delusional Texas fan. Yes, I'm so delusional. After a 3-point loss in overtime, I still feel great about the national championship chances. So delusional. Georgia is so much better. The Georgia team that barely beat us by 3 points tonight and had problems with Kentucky and Georgia Tech. Please. Hook them. Brooke, appreciate the comment. Texas will not win their next game. We'll see. We'll see. With a backup quarterback, Carson Beck is probably worse than y'all's backup quarterback. I don't even know why y'all be making that point. Yeah, I agree. Somebody said all you got to do is win. That's what I've been saying all year long. The people that keep saying, oh, you barely beat this team, you barely beat that team. My opinion has pretty much been you just got to win, like survive in advance. So, look, if we want to go back and forth, Texas barely beat Vandy, I'll go back and forth with you about the Georgia barely beat this team or that team. But I kind of agree. Just win the game. Like, it really doesn't matter. All you got to do is win the game. Absolutely. Exactly. And y'all can't win. We have the same amount of wins as you. Georgia, we have the same record. So don't even say y'all can't win. Come on. Didn't win this time, but this game didn't even matter. Y'all know that, right? This game was meaningless. That's how this works. This game's meaningless. The SEC championship mattered 0 for the playoff. Yeah, a home game or not, Texas wins on the road. Texas can win games on the road. I'm not worried about Texas not getting a home game. That's the worst thing that maybe happened tonight is the Horns don't get a home game. Who cares about this result? I said it last week. Somebody would ask me, what are you going to say if Texas loses to Georgia for a second time? I'm going to say, see you in the playoff. That's really all that comes down to it. See you in the playoff. Because Texas automatically was in regardless of the result tonight. This game had zero drama. Both Georgia and Texas were making it regardless of the outcome. Championship still very much in view. This game meant nothing in regards to a Texas national championship or national championship hopes. We keep going. All right, y'all. I got to take off. Got to go get dinner. Got to go hang out with the fam. Got to go watch the rest of this Penn State-Oregon game. Go Penn State. Hope they cause some trouble. Wouldn't that be crazy? Penn State wins. I don't know what you're thinking about the Big Ten if Penn State wins this game. I don't know. Penn State, Oregon, Ohio State. I've got my questions. How good are they really? I don't know. Lot of unknowns with the Big Ten, in my opinion, especially after the Michigan loss that Ohio State suffered. If Penn State wins tonight, I don't know. I think you got to say Big Ten not quite as good as advertised. So go Penn State. I just want to see some chaos. Let's see what happens. Appreciate all y'all. Thank you, by the way, for the gifts. I know a few people gifted during the show. Appreciate that a lot. Really does mean a lot to me. Thank you to everybody that followed. We'll be back whenever that first playoff game is. We'll be back, and all y'all haters, trolls can come hang out too. You're welcome. Everybody's welcome here at Right On Rangers. But you know I especially appreciate all my Horns fans in the chat. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you so much for the support, the likes, the gifts. Means a lot. I didn't get it done tonight, but championship still in sight. That's got to be the mantra. Didn't get it done tonight, but the championship is still in sight. Longhorns Nation, we'll be back. Quinn Ewers got to be better. Sark got to dial better stuff up in the red zone. Whew. Red zone problems have got to be fixed. Texas defense, great game overall. Got to be better against the run. Really want to see an improvement there. Some great individual performances tonight. Quinn Ewers has got to step up and be elite when the game's on the line. Hoping to see it. Hoping to see it come playoff time. Still a lot to be optimistic about. And we will be back next week to talk about everything whenever the next game is. I don't know when the playoffs start. Don't have the date in front of me. But we'll be here. Rain or shine, win or loss. We will always be here to cover your Texas Longhorns. Appreciate you guys. Hope you have a great rest of your Saturday. We'll be back Monday night to talk Cowboys after the Bengals game. That is Monday night. Great. Yeah, we'll be back Monday night to talk Cowboys. I also do Texas Rangers content. We're going on Wednesdays for our Texas Rangers show. We'll be back Monday night after Monday Night Football, hopefully after a Cowboys win. So if you love the Cowboys or hate them, come back. Let's talk some Cowboys football after Monday night. All right, y'all. Have a great rest of the weekend. We'll talk to y'all soon. And as I always say to end every show, God bless and hook 'em.